How's it going, broskies? Damocles here, and today I'm bringing you another Mamoswine video. This time I'm going to be showing you some tips and all of Mamoswine's combos so that you can know when and where you should be using them. If you like this content and you want to see more of it, hit up my channel. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and comment down below which combo is your favorite. The first thing I'm going to be showing you is Icicle Crash and High Horsepower. This plays very much like Ornn does from League of Legends, where basically you drop Icicle Crash on top of them, you hit it with High Horsepower, and it will freeze them and push them back. It's a really solid combo, and it's really solid for engage as well. So I'll show you it again. You go and you drop the Icicle Crash, you hit it with High Horsepower, and it's going to go and explode the Icicle immediately and freeze everything in the general area. This is nice because High Horsepower naturally has a really long animation time, and you're locked in this animation for a decent amount of time as well. So you can see I'm trying to move, but at the end you're locked into that final slam. What doing this with Icicle Crash does is basically makes it so the enemies have to be in that close proximity range when the slam actually goes off. So I'll hit it again. Now he's frozen, can't escape it. So it's a really solid combo, and that Icicle Explosion is an AoE. It can hit multiple people, so if you land this in the middle of a team fight, it's going to be really, really bad news for your team. Something else to take into account, especially with High Horsepower, is that you can use eject button during it. So if you go and you are trying to chase down an enemy and they're just out of range, you can go and hit High Horsepower and then flash or eject button, and it will actually extend the range of High Horsepower. You can also do this horizontally as well. So if I'm moving and I'm going to miss the person, I can go and change the direction that I'm moving. So if I just go and do this, actually I'll show this the extended range here. So you can do it horizontally like this. Boo-boo. You can move side to side, or you can go over a wall, because naturally the actual dash portion of this does not go through walls like some other dashes in the game, but the final portion does. So you can see here it doesn't go through the wall, but if I go and eject button over the wall mid-animation, it continues on that dash. It's not just the final part that actually passes through the wall, which is kind of nice. And it's really nice when you're trying to go and get this engage off, you can just flash onto the other side and get that AoE ice explosion, if you will. Also, Icicle Crash just like freezes naturally when it explodes, but you can go and explode it yourself with multiple abilities, including the Unite move. So make sure you keep that in mind. And also keep in mind, I talked about it in my Mamoswine full guide. Make sure you hit that in the in the description. Go check that out on the channel. Any of his ice moves, if you drop them on your own allied goalpost, it will actually freeze the allied goalpost and reduce the enemy scoring speed by like 40-ish%. It's like a fairly significant amount. So if you're getting dunked on by score shield people, feel free to just drop this on your own goalpost, and you can see the little ring of frost around there. It will freeze and slow how fast enemies can score on you. However, this does not affect Zapdos and Rotom instant dunks. Okay, keep that in mind. You will not be able to prevent people from instant dunking. It just does not work like that. So let's hop over to the next combo. All right, so High Horsepower and Ice Fang. Very similar, situation with High Horsepower as we were with the last combo. You're going to be locked in this animation for a decent amount of time. So High Horsepower into Ice Fang is not really that great of a combo. You can't exactly pull out of it that much unless the actual final stomp lands on the enemy, but that's not guaranteed unless they're frozen. So most of the time what you're going to want to be doing with this style build is trying to find other ways to get into melee range and use Icicle Fang first. And so you can see here, if I go, okay, Talonflame, chill. So if I go and I use Icicle Flame, get over here, bro. Okay. So if I use Ice Fang, let me just stop his movement actually real quick, just so we don't have to deal with this. Okay, so if you use Ice Fang, you can go and reposition the enemy for a moment before it slams them on the ground. So what you would want to do is to go and use Ice Fang, drop them in the other direction, and then high horsepower into them, and that's going to make it so they actually get hit by everything in your combo. It's really nice, especially if you're trying to initiate for your team. The drawback to this style of build, and why I haven't been running it in comparison to the Earthquake Ice Fang build, is just because in order to close that gap, you are going to have to expend eject button, which you might not want to do. So if you really think about it, eject button's cooldown is a fairly long amount of time. So if your entire build is reliant on using eject button to get in, and you can only use eject button, I don't know, let's see, it has a 70-second cooldown, so we'll just say maybe you can use it 9 times a match if you're using it on cooldown. That's not really realistic though. So in that case, you are stuck, running into the enemy or using Unite move to get in, close the gap, and then use Ice Fang and high horsepower, which, could also work. So you see that combo here. Ice Fang is a really solid ability. Unlike high horsepower, you can't go and just flash to reposition with Ice Fang, because that would be absolutely broken. So you see here the animation and the actual targeting reticle of the toss afterwards stays in the exact same place. You can't extend the range, which is unfortunate, but overall Ice Fang is super solid. And just like Icicle Crash, you can go and fling enemies into your goal zone and freeze it and slow it down. I actually think this is a lot more reliable than the Ice Crash. It's just a little bit faster. Yes, the Icicle Crash, you can call it down without having to target anything, but the actual slow and how long it takes to activate on here is so much faster if you're using Ice Fang in this situation. So make sure you keep that in mind. Overall, Ice Fang, high horsepower, really cool. It's just you're really reliant on this one combo, and if you don't have a way of getting in, you're going to get kited, and it's not going to be a fun day. So let's hop over to the next one. So Icicle Crash plus Earthquake is not really that bad. Basically, what you're going to be doing is either Earthquaking in to try and get the stun off and landing the Icicle Crash a lot easier, which allows you to go and get a fair amount of CC in a large AoE area, or you're going to be going and dropping Ice Crash and then immediately jumping on top of it to try and pop it with Earthquake. To get a large amount of AoE CC and the pull in. Remember, Earthquake is a little bit of a stun and a pull when it actually leaps onto the target. Actually, not a stun, it's a pull. Excuse me. So when you jump onto the target, boom. But the pull is kind of instantaneous, and when it pulls, it's a stun, so you get what I'm saying. So you can go and drop Icicle Crash, and basically the windup of Earthquake kind of winds up times. It syncs perfectly with the Ice Crash drop. So if you go and just cast them back to back, you're going to be in a great spot to immediately explode the Icicle as soon as it drops. And of course, that's always really solid because you are getting multiple forms of CC layered on top of each other. But also you can go and do the reverse. You can go in Earthquake and then Icicle Crash and get the same level of CC. However, this one, I'm pretty sure people can move out of it a lot easier because they're not CC'd for the entire duration of the Icicle Crash drop. But because Icicle Crash, when you cast it, grants you immediate enhanced attack, and Mamoswine's enhanced attack automatically freezes, you can go and actually freeze them before the Icicle Crash comes. So you want the actual combo would be Earthquake, hit them, or excuse me, Earthquake, Icicle Crash, hit them before the Icicle Crash drops. So make sure you weave in your basic attacks there. So we do this, we pop this, we hit them so they can't move, and then they get hit by the other frozen. So it's basically a stun, a pull, and then double freeze. That's always a really fun time. Obviously, the only negative of this build, of this combo, is that, you have to land both of these, and the timing is pretty tight, right? You don't have any kind of other control outside of this. Like, if you miss one of these, then your CC is just not really likely to land, and that's obviously unfortunate. So keep that in mind if you're trying out this one. This is probably my least favorite of them, but if you actually could land both of them, it's probably the most devastating in a team fight. On to the next one. Last but certainly not least is my personal favorite combo. But before that, I do have a little bit of a tip to hand out. And this comes from a viewer named Emosh, who dropped a comment in my full Mamoswine build. And that is that Mamoswine's passive, which is called Thick Fat, where you can go and basically after 3 basic attacks, Mamoswine gains, well, every basic attack, Mamoswine gains a stack of Thick Fat, which increases its special defense and defense. So normally you would have to go and basic attack 3 times in order to stack that. So if I go and hit Talonflame, you can see on the bottom right hand corner, Thick Fat, defense, and everything is increased. But what I didn't know when I made the build video was that because Mamoswine's attacks actually hit in an AoE swipe and they cleave, you can actually go and stack this instantly if you are in, you know, the middle of a team fight and hitting multiple people, or if you're going and fighting a Vespa Queen or something like that. So you can see just with 1 basic attack, the passive is stacked up to 3 times, which is the maximum. So just something to keep in mind to keep the tanky ham even tankier. And as for the actual combo itself, Earthquake, Ice Fang is what I run in my Mamoswine build because I think it just shores up all of Mamoswine's weaknesses and really embraces the crowd control role that Mamoswine you know, resides in within the game. So by using Ice Fang and Earthquake, you're able to gap close onto targets with Earthquake and reposition them and shut them down fairly easily with Ice Fang, right? So you could go Earthquake onto a target, pull them in, and then Ice Fang them into your team, or you could go and Ice Fang someone in the opposite direction, Earthquake on top of them, and pull them in that way. Or, you know, you could obviously eject button, Icicle Fang onto somebody, Earthquake after that. There's so many different possibilities with this Icicle Fang. And I also want you to keep in mind that Icicle Fang, just like Icicle Crash, goes and automatically stacks Mamoswine's basic attacks. So once you use it, the person's frozen, but you can go and hit them again. You want to make sure that you wait for the first freeze to wear off before hitting them with that second basic attack so you get that full duration. I don't know why, but it seems like they're not additive. It's just stacks on top of each other. So if you, well, I mean, I understand why it would be busted if not, but basically if you go and just immediately basic attack, you're not going to get that extended duration, whereas if you go and wait for them to come out, they're going to get double frozen. So make sure you do that if you're using this build. Also, I already said you can flip people into your own team, but the thing with Earthquake is that you can jump over walls with Earthquake, right? Unlike High Horsepower, unless you're using eject button, and this makes it really solid for engage and just overall team fighting prowess with Mamoswine. In addition to that, this has like the lowest cooldowns of all of the builds, as far as I'm aware, because Earthquake has a lower cooldown than High Horsepower, and Ice Fang has a lower cooldown than Icicle Crash. Don't quote me on the... Yes, I'm about 99% positive that is the case with Ice Fang. But in general, I just think that Mamoswine is really hard countered by range, right? Like most defenders are. And your goal is going to be getting into the middle of those team fights and CCing as many targets as possible. And that's what Earthquake and Icicle Fang allows you to do. You go in, hop onto the enemy carry, and you basically lock them down for a solid, 10 seconds, which is enough to take out any carry in any team fight. And so that's why I prefer this combo over the other ones. But again, everything is up to you guys. It's all personal preference at the end of the day. And that's going to be it for my Mamoswine tips and combos video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it to be informational and helpful. And as always, if you like this content, please consider subscribing. It would mean the world to me. We're almost at 20K subs, guys. That's crazy. That's so insane. And at 20K subs, I'm giving away that Nintendo eShop gift card to one of you lucky viewers. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see any more content, or you have any suggestions, anything like that, or you have any tips of your own, drop them in the comments below. I like shouting out the viewers. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Damocles out.